Chapter 5. Tommy. Omri felt himself grow weak. What an idiot he'd been not to have realized that the man and not just the medical bag would be changed. Or had he? After all, what did he need more than just a bandage of the right size for the Indian? Someone of the right size to put it on. And unless he was sadly mistaken, this was just what was waiting inside the magic cupboard. He unlocked the door. Yes, there he was, pink-cheeked, tousle-headed under his army cap, his uniform creased and mud-spattered and blood-stained, looking angry, frightened, and bewildered. He rubbed his eyes with his free hand. And if you remember, at the conclusion of yesterday's chapter, Omri thrust this World War I army soldier into the cupboard just for his bandages. But now the entire man has come to life. Praise be for a bit of daylight, he said. What in the... Then he opened his eyes and he saw Omri. Omri actually saw his face go white and his knees give way under him. He uttered a few sounds and just noises. He dropped the bag and he hid his face for a moment. Omri said hastily, Please don't be afraid. It's all right. Then he had an absolute inspiration. I'm a dream you're having. I won't hurt you. I just want you to do something for me. And then you'll wake up. Slowly, the little man lowered his hands and looked up again. A dream it is? Well, I should have guessed. Yes, of course, it would be. The whole rotten war's nightmare enough, though, without giants and... He stared around Omri's room. Still in awe, perhaps it's a change for the better. At least it's quiet here. Can you bring your bag and climb out? I need your help. The soldier now managed a rather sickly smile, and he tipped his cap in a salute. Right you are. With you in a tick, he said. He picked up his bag and he clambered over to the edge of the cupboard. Stand on my hand, Omri commanded. The soldier did not hesitate a moment, but swung himself up by hooking his free arm around Omri's pinky finger. Bit of a lark, he said. I won't enjoy telling the fellows about this dream of mine in the trenches tomorrow. Omri carried him to the spot where Little Bear sat holding his leg, which was still bleeding. The soldier stepped down and stood, knee-deep in the carpet, staring. Well, I'll be, he said, an Indian. This is a dream, and no mistake. And he's wounded, too. Well, I suppose that's my job. To patch him up? Yes, please, said Omri. Without more ado, the soldier put the bag on the floor and snapped open its all but invisible catches. Omri leaned over to see. Now he really did need a magnifying glass, and so badly did he want to see the details of that miniature doctor's bag that he risked sneaking into Gillian's room. Gillian always slept late, and pinching his from his secret drawer. By the time he got back to his room, the soldier was kneeling at Little Bear's feet, applying a neat tourniquet to the top of his leg. Omri peered through the magnifying glass into the open bag. It was amazing. Everything was there. Bottles, pill boxes, ointments, some steel instruments, including a tiny needle, and as many rolls of bandages as you could ever want. Omri then ventured to look at the wound. Yes, it was very deep. The horse must have given him a terrific kick. That reminded him, where was that horse? He looked around in a fright, but soon he saw it, trying forlornly to eat the carpet. I must get it some grass, thought Omri, offering it a small piece of stale bread, which it ate gratefully, and then some water in a tin lid. It was odd how the horse was not frightened of him. Perhaps it couldn't see him very well. There now, he'll do, said the soldier. Omri looked at the Indian's leg through his magnifying glass. The wound was bandaged beautifully. Even Little Bear was examining it with obvious approval. "Thank you very much," said Omri. "Would you like to wake up now?" "Might as well, I suppose. Not that there's much to look forward to, except mud and rats and German shells coming over. Still, got to win the war, haven't we? Can't desert, even into a dream, not for long. Duty calls." Omri picked him up and put him in the cupboard. "Goodbye," he said. "Perhaps sometime you could dream me again." "A pleasure," said the soldier. "Tommy Atkins, at your service. Any night except when there's an attack on. None of us gets any sleep to speak of then." And he gave Omri a salute. Regretfully, Omri shut and locked the door. He was tempted to keep the soldier, but it was too complicated just now. Anyway, he could always bring him back to life if he liked. A moment or two later, he opened the door to check. There was the orderly, bag in hand, standing just as Omri had last seen him, at the salute, only now he was plastic again. Little Bear was calmly pulling up his blood-stained leggings. "Good magic," he said. "Leg feel good." "Little Bear, what will you do all day while I'm at school?" "You bring bark of tree. Little Bear make long house." "What's that?" "Iroquois house. Need earth. Stick post in." "Earth? Post?" "Earth, post, bark. Not forget food. Weapons, tools, pots, water, fire." There were no quarrels at breakfast that morning. Omri gulped down his egg and ran. In the greenhouse he found a seed tray already full of soil, well pressed down. He carried that secretly upstairs and laid it on the floor behind the dressing-up crate, which he was pretty sure his mother wouldn't shift, even if it was her cleaning day. Then he took his penknife and went out again. Fortunately, one of the trees in the garden had the sort of bark that came off easily, a silvery, flaky kind. He cut off a big strip and then another to make sure. How long was a long house? He pulled some grass for the horse. He cut a bundle of thin, strong, straight twigs and stripped off their leaves. Then he went back to his room and laid all these offerings beside Little Bear, who was seated outside his teepee, saying his prayers. "Omri," came his mother's voice. "Time to go." Omri took out of his pocket the corner of toast he saved from breakfast and cleaned out the last of the corned beef from the tin. There was some corn left, though it was getting rather dry by now. He filled up Action Man's beaker with water from the bathroom, pouring a little into the horse's drinking lid. The horse was munching on the fresh grass with every sign of enjoyment. Omri noticed its bridle had been replaced with a halter, cleverly made with thread. "Omri! Just coming. The others have gone. Hurry up, you'll be late." One last thing. Little Bear couldn't make a long house without a tool. He'd need an axe. Frantically, Omri rummaged into the biscuit tin. Ah, a knight, wielding a fearsome-looking battle axe. It wasn't right, but it was better than nothing, and it would have to do. In a second, the knight was locked into the cupboard. "Omri! 1 second! What are you doing?" Crash! The axe was being used on the inside of the cupboard door. Omri wrenched the door open and snatched the axe from the startled hands of the knight, who had just time for one horrified look before he was turned to plastic again by the slamming door. Never mind. He looked most unpleasant, just as knights must have looked when they were in war. Omri had very little time for a knight right now. The axe was a beauty, though, shining steel with a sharp edge on both ends and a long, heavy steel handle. Omri laid it at Little Bear's side. Little Bear! But he was still in a trance, communicating with his ancestors, Omri supposed. Well, Little Bear would find everything when he came to. There was quite a trail of split earth leading behind the crate. Omri flashed down the stairs, grabbed his parka and his lunch money, and he was gone. I wonder what Little Bear's longhouse will look like when Omri gets home. We'll have to wait and see tomorrow.